Hi everyone. Great news that the first year of the online Glasgow University Advanced Practice in Veterinary Nursing PG Cert has been now accredited as a route to the RCVS Cert AVN. I'm very lucky to be one of the lecturers on the first year of the course, along with Mary Fraser and Sam Fontaine, the programme director. Sam, can you tell us a little bit about the programme?
Yep, thanks, Pam. So the programme is essentially a 3-year part-time master's programme, but the first year is a PG certificate, postgraduate certificate, which is also accredited under the Certificate in Advanced Veterinary Nursing through the Royal College. So you get these a dual set of qualifications when you complete that year. So you can choose to just do 1 year of study with your postgraduate certificate, or carry on your studies and do a postgraduate diploma, and then in your third year you could do a full master's degree at the end, get a master's degree at the end of it. So it's designed really for people that are working full time. It's designed to be quite flexible in the sense that you have 3 years, you've got 3 years to complete the programme, but can take up to 6 years to complete it, so you can take study breaks and things if you need to. And it's a programme, I think, that's been designed really with people who are working with, with them in mind. Having been a person who also worked and did a master's, I know the challenges of all of, juggling all these multiple demands. So I think as a group, we're very supportive of our students, and we try and make sure that they manage to get through the programme. And that's always at the forefront, certainly, of my mind as a teacher on the programme, and I'm sure it is for you guys too.
So how did you decide which subjects were important for the first year of the course? How did you decide how to structure that first year?
I think when I had been wanting to do a master's, what I realised was, I would have to leave my job to do one, because back, I think it was probably 2009, there wasn't any online provision back then. You if you did a master's, you quit your job and you went and studied for a year and got your degree that way. And I think when I was looking around, what I realised was there wasn't really anything aimed at me as a veterinary nurse. I'd done my Royal College Advanced Diploma, I'd done my top-up degree. I was wanting to stay in the discipline of vet nursing, but there was nothing out there. I would have had to have done a master's in conservation or ethics and welfare and things like that. And while that's great, it wasn't really what I was interested in. So when I had the opportunity to put this programme together, I suppose I had two things in mind. That it had to be really relevant for vet nurses who were doing a range of different jobs, working with a range of different species, those in education. I wanted it to appeal to vet nurses from all walks of life, but also that we could deliver it online so that they didn't have to give up time to come to Glasgow to attend campus, and also that individuals from any background could do it, so they weren't going to be disadvantaged if they were in a practice without a certain piece of kit or with individuals to support them. We would give them everything they needed through the programme. So for me, what ticked all those boxes, and as a person who was passionate about evidence-based veterinary nursing, really the focus of the programme is evidence-based veterinary nursing quality improvement. And I think, that's something that we can deliver in this truly online format.
Excellent. So how does it start? Which is the first module then?
So Mary Fraser is our first course leader, and she runs an research and evidence-based veterinary nursing course. So I'll let Mary tell you a bit about her course.
Okay, thanks, Sam. So yeah, it's a 10-week course. It's all online, it's fully flexible, and it's an introduction and an overview to research methods, finding evidence, and using evidence. So it's aimed at vet nurses from all different levels coming in with different vet nursing qualifications, and we go through what research is out there. And over the last 4 years, 5 years of the course running, I'm delighted to say the amount of vet nursing research that's out there has increased dramatically. So we link everything to the current evidence, we link everything to practice, to the workplace for people. They all come from different backgrounds, and we look at what is research, we look a little bit at the theory of research, we look at how to do your own research, in practice. We look at how to collect data, analyze data, how to critique papers, how to apply all of that to your own practice. And we use a lot of resources from our CVS Knowledge and utilising vet evidence. And one of the assessments is to create a knowledge summary. And we were delighted one of the past students went on after completing that course to submit her knowledge summary for publication, and it was accepted, which was just fantastic to show that they're actually taking what they're doing and then putting that into practice. So we have discussions, we try people working together, but the sort of core running through all of it is looking at the evidence and relating it to each individual student that we have and what's relevant for them, and they get to choose their own subject that they want to focus on throughout the course. So yeah, there's quite a lot in there, but I think it's fun. I think everybody enjoys it.
I think it's also such a core skill that the students develop that they can then apply through the rest of the programme, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great that it's so practical as well. But there's so much, you know, and tailored to each one.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot in there. People seem to enjoy it, and it does give them those skills that they're going to use as they work through the rest of the course. Absolutely. So Sam, tell me a little bit about the course that you run.
So mine follows yours, Mary, and it's developing evidence-based practice through reflection. And I think it really builds on what the students have learned from your course, but I suppose takes it from a slightly different angle. We spend the first half of the course talking about reflective practice, so why we should be doing it as veterinary nurse professionals, how we can do it, on all the different mechanisms within practice that one can reflect on, and the different mechanisms that we can use to reflect. And I think what I really enjoy in those first few weeks is I always ask the students, you know, what their thoughts are on reflective practice, and it's a bit like, ugh. But actually when they start to understand a bit more about it and the real positive benefits that reflection can have on our patient care and how our practice is run, the real practical implications of reflection really start to make sense, and people realize they're reflecting all the time. Everybody reflects on a daily basis in these kind of jobs, but you know, it's not given a title. And I think, you know, when people start to realize that this is a practice that I do and I can do, suddenly the relevance of it becomes a bit more obvious to the students. The second part of the course really is around evidence-based practice. So we look at how reflection can be used to identify learning needs, your own personal learning needs, identify aspects of practice that could be improved on, could be developed. And we look at the different evidence-based practice models that are out there that are largely from a human nursing perspective, but ones that we could utilize within our own practice. And this is a kind of structured way of identifying a problem, engaging with the evidence base around that problem, and then actually going on to implement the changes to help solve that problem. So we work through the different steps of that process. And as similar to you, Mary, our students can pick a topic that's of interest to them. So they have to reflect on their own experience on something and identify their own personal learning need, and then we get them to engage with the evidence around that topic, and they create essentially a protocol that they could then implement in their practice to help improve their practice. So again, very practical, and because we have students from clinical practice, we have students in education, people are bringing, you know, their assessments from all different angles, and for me I love that because I get to learn lots about different things. But students can see the applicability to lots of different walks of life, you know, within the vet nursing career. So I really enjoy that.
Yeah, and so then, they don't have to be in practice to do the course. They can come from all different aspects of vet nursing, can't they?
Yeah, and I think, you know, to become a vet nurse, you've been in practice, you've had time in practice, but the programme was very much designed, you know, when I started to create this programme, I did a bit of a mix of jobs. I was a bit in education, a bit in clinical practice, and I wanted it to appeal to people like me. So we tried hard to make sure that nurses from all different walks of life could do the programme. And I think, you know, from the students we've had, we've had quite a few educators, haven't we, through the doors over the years, as well as those in a whole range of different types of small animal equine practices. And, you know, there's something of relevance to everybody.
Not just from the UK, are they?
No, they're not. No, and that's, for me, a fantastic, I love the experience of learning about different countries and the way they, you know, vet nurses are, how they're utilised and things in different countries. So we've had students from America, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Malta, and that's one of my favourite parts, is just hearing about the experiences. And I think for our UK students, it's a fantastic opportunity for them to broaden their horizons on the profession more globally. So, you know, I know that's an element you like to hear about, Pam, in your course. So do you want to tell us a bit about yours?
No, definitely. Well, my course is, well, it started life as clinical governance and now it's quality improvement. So we start off by defining what those terms are. And a bit like your course, Sam, at the beginning, lots of the students say, yeah, we've heard this term, but we really haven't got much idea of what it's all about. And it sounds actually quite boring, but hopefully they change their mind. And then we go on to talk about all sorts of things, again, a bit around guidelines, but a lot around clinical audit. We do quite a lot around measuring what you do. Because if you don't measure what you do, how can you know what needs to improve? So measuring is important, but then also very important is doing something to improve it and consulting with your teams to find out what the barriers are to the improvement. So we do a lot around that, around clinical audit. We do a lot around systems of work, really, and human factors that are involved, and ways to kind of reduce errors, because you can never prevent errors, but ways to reduce errors by having systems in place, whether they be guidelines or protocols or checklists, surgical safety checklists, or care bundles, all sorts of things around that we talk about, and how you can audit those. And then we talk about what happens when errors actually happen, how you deal with them. So we talk about M&M rounds, we talk about significant event audits, and root cause analysis, and the projects that they do a project on an essay on clinical audit, on what they want to audit and designing an audit tool. And when we get on to significant event audit, we do a practical, which is quite fun, which is live, where we are the significant event audit committee and consider an error and what we would do, and then they go away in groups and look at another one and come up with recommendations for practice. So it's all very practical. And then we also talk about practice culture, because I think all these things impact really majorly on practice culture. Practices that participate in clinical in quality improvement have to listen to their teams, and they have to be open to change. And those are a really good way to start to improve practice culture. So we talk about what are good practice cultures, what are not, learning cultures, accountability, just culture, which everybody usually really enjoys that part of the course, I think. And the main thing is that it's, I hope, really practical, and that they come away with some skills that they actually go and do. And the thing that makes me happiest of all is when they say they've actually started doing some of these audits, and I've met some of them later and they've done it. But I think it's also valuable for the practices, not just for the individuals. Obviously it's valuable for them, but it's valuable for them to take some of these things back to some of their practices and actually make a difference.
I think that's what I really like about, you know, yours kind of brings together all the skills they've learned throughout the whole year and culminates in something really tangibly practical that they can embed in their practices. And you know, it's great to see them talking about them being the agents of change in their practice and being able to go back to practice and make significant improvements. You know, I think you feel like you've done a good job when they start talking.
Absolutely.
Students start talking like that. And, you know, one of your students, Pam, went on to get a QI champion award, didn't
she? She got a knowledge champion award. Yes, she did. Get one for one of her audits,
which was great, which she created on your program in your course.
Yeah, that was very satisfying. But it's very satisfying when any of them do it. I think there's loads of job satisfaction as a lecturer on this course, I have to say.
Yeah, good stuff. So, sorry, Mary, you were going to say.
I was just going to go on that topic of the QI champion. I was going to ask you about becoming an RCVS Knowledge QI champion.
Yeah, that was fantastic. It was wonderful, and thank you to you both for encouraging me to apply for that. This was the first year that the Royal College had opened it to educators, and I thought what we were delivering really ticked all the boxes as you know, from a QI perspective. So yeah, it was a fantastic recognition of the work that we do in this course. So I'm excited to attend the ceremony later on this year, be it virtually. So yeah, and I hope from that, you know, prospective students will see that actually what we're trying to achieve is that these vet nurses can have a voice a place at the table, really, in their practices to help guide how the practice develops and grows.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fantastic and very well deserved.
Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I mean, we've said a lot of, and there is loads of good things to say about this course. We could talk, you know, for hours about all the good things, but I guess there are a few barriers, and maybe one of them is that the people are in full-time work. What about the workload, Sam? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, we've tried to remove the barrier of qualification, recognising that vet nurses can qualify through a whole myriad of different routes, and so we will take students not necessarily that are just graduates, but that have level 3 diplomas, but have shown some evidence of engaging with ongoing studies and personal development. It is a lot of work, there's no denying it. Every course is 20 credits, and the university, we would say that relates to approximately 20 hours of work a week for the students to do. You know, some weeks will be heavier than others. So if you're going to embark on your studies at this level, you need to know what you're getting into. That being said, it is achievable. We've had lots of students achieve it, and you know, all the courses are very similar in structure in that we roll out the content week by week. So you're not faced with a full 10 weeks worth of content to work through. It's very structured, and we support you through your engagement over those 10 weeks. So I like to think that we've built something that is achievable for people in, you know, we've got people doing night shifts, we've got part-time workers, full-time workers, a whole range. And I think the ability to put your studies on hold is a real benefit because, you know, life changes, people take on new roles and responsibilities and suddenly realise they have less time. We've had quite a few babies over the programme. So people take maternity leave and things like that. And I think the ability to have 6 years, if you were wanting to do the full masters, to be able to do that over 6 years makes it quite achievable for most people.
And it's achievable even if you're in a different time zone, isn't it, for your overseas students?
Yeah, just with it being online, you access the content when you want. We do some live activities where we try and get the class together, but we recognise not everyone can always attend that, so we will try and record things where people can't attend. And we do try and time it so that it accommodates all the different time zones, so that, you know, somebody in New Zealand, it's not 2 a.m. in the morning for them, just because it suits the UK perspective. So we tend to run things, you know, we try and do things in the evenings or at weekends and things like that, where we'll manage to get most people to attend. So yeah, and I think there's always a worry about studying online, isn't there, that it's isolating, but my certain impression from the students is that they don't feel isolated because we do so much as a group with the class, and we have group activities, and they're communicating weekly through the discussion forums, I think. And then they interact outside of the course through social media. You know, they set up WhatsApp groups and things like that to support each other. So I get the sense from the students that they do feel there is a community of learning, and they're part of a community where they can kind of tap into each other for help and support, which is great.
I think they're definitely supportive of each other when you look at comments on the forums.
Yeah. And I think they can learn so much from each other, can't they? Because somebody's had a similar experience, and they can share how they solved it and, you know, how they moved on from it. So I think there's a lot of learning that goes on from each other, isn't there?
And as I mentioned before about it being an advantage to the practices, and I think it really is. And another way that it can be an advantage to the practices is that obviously they can help the practices when they're having their practice standards assessments, where they have assessed on clinical governance and quality improvement, and they can even get points in the awards for quality improvement of the practice standards awards just for doing this course.
Yeah, no, which is fantastic and great, again, to acknowledge the role that a veterinary nurse can take in that process. So yeah, so if you are interested in joining our happy team here at Glasgow University, We do take 3 intakes onto the programme. So we have a September intake, we have a January intake and an April intake. There are different entry requirements at the different entry points based on experience, but our website has all of that information on it if you were interested in joining us. And you get not only a postgraduate certificate from the University of Glasgow, but the certificate in advanced veterinary nursing from the RCVS if you enroll onto that as well. So 2 for the price of 1. It's bargain. We would love to see you with us. If you are a vet nurse out there who is feeling a bit frustrated in life and they're looking for their next challenge, then this might be the programme for you. And we're happy to speak to anybody who would like to speak to us about how the programme works and things. So thank you to Pam and Mary for this little session here. And yeah, any questions, please do just contact us through our website.